Welcome to TV's Daily NBA Recap, where we talk about each of the games from yesterday's action, and we do a short recap on them in under 10 minutes. Let's go. 6 games on the schedule yesterday. There's a lot of games to discuss, so let us get right into it. First game we're going to be talking about is the Brooklyn Nets defeating the Washington Wizards 118-110. Great performances by Jared Allen, who scored 22 points and 15 rebounds. Caris LeVert led all scorers with 34 points, and Joe Harris also contributed 27 points for the Brooklyn Nets. On the Wizards side of things, they got some good contributions from Thomas Bryant, who had 4 threes, 30 points, 13 boards, and Troy Brown Jr. also contributed 22 points and grabbed 10 boards as well. This game didn't really matter. It's a team where the Washington Wizards, where I talked about on multiple occasions that they really shouldn't even be in the bubble. I just feel like the NBA just want to shove them in there just so they can have one East team vying for a chance, but they don't deserve to be there. They don't look like they deserve to be there. Without Beal and Bertans, they're a completely different team, and they just do not look great whatsoever. The Nets handled them pretty well. Caris LeVert put on an absolute showcase in that game, but at the end of the game, this game doesn't really matter. I believe that Orlando and Brooklyn are basically stuck to their positions at 8 and 7 respectively, and I should probably get interchangeable, but at the end of the day, the Brooklyn got a good win, and the Wizards continue to slip. We move on to the next game, which is the Boston Celtics taking on the Portland Trailblazers, and this, on the other hand, had a lot of implications, and this was a very good game. And it was a lot of Boston Celtics throughout this game. I mean, for the first 2 quarters, Boston even got to like a 20-plus point lead. And Jason Tatum, finally, he cut his hair. Everyone basically bullied him on Twitter and Instagram to cut his hair. And he was playing like his all-NBA caliber self. Like, this guy scored 34 points, dished out 8 assists, 4 rebounds. And he was having just a fantastic game in general. But the Portland Trailblazers, you can never count them out. You have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and they were able to come back in that third quarter and take the lead in the fourth quarter as well. I mean, Nurkic and Dame both scored 30 points apiece, and it looked like they were going to win the game. But Boston, like I talked about, they just have shot makers. And you have Jaylen Brown, who took over the fourth quarter, I believe scoring over 15 points, hitting multiple threes to win them the game. It was a great game. I think it really showcased both these teams' abilities. And even though the Trailblazers lost, this still gives me the hope that they will be able to make the 8th seed in the West. They're just a better team than what we've seen out of the Pelicans, Grizzlies, even the Spurs, who have turned it up recently. And they just have that experience, and they're able to just stay in these games. And when you have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum as your shot creators, it's a dangerous side. And even though they lost, they still have a lot of good things to take out of that game. We move on to the next game, and another close game. We have the San Antonio Spurs winning 108-106 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, by the way, the Boston Celtics won 128-124. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, back to the Spurs game. 108-106 over the Memphis Grizzlies. 21-10 for DeJounte Murray. And on the Memphis side of things, Ja played good. 26 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. And this game had, if anything, was just a crazy ending because let me paint you the scene. DeMar DeRozan gets fouled when they're up 3. He goes to the free throw line, misses both free throws with 12 seconds remaining. It leaves the door open for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies come down, pass it to the corner. Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't even look to the rim. He just turns, shoots, ties the game. Spurs don't call a timeout. Dribbled up the court. DeRozan looks like he's about to take the final shot. He gets Dylan Brooks up in the air, and he draws the foul. He's able to redeem himself and hit the 2 free throws and ends up winning, which puts them at the 9th seed. Yes, the Spurs are now in the 9th seed. That playoff streak is still there for the taking, and they've been playing well, and they're able to take care of this game, especially because the Grizzlies, they had a lot of energy, but when it comes late in these games, it's all about the veteran presence, and they're able to do it because even though DeRozan was very clutch late, I believe he had 8 of his 14 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, like I said, DeRozan just did not play well for the majority of the game, and he was able to do it at the end of the game. Without Marcus Aldridge, they just look like a more athletic, more energetic bunch, and they played really well that game, and now they're in prime striking distance for that 8th seed. We are moving on to the next game, and it's another one of those games that not a lot of people are going to talk about, but Orlando Magic absolutely demolished the Sacramento Kings, 132 to 116. If you watch the game, it was just a lot bigger than that as well. I believe they had a 30-point lead for the majority of that part. But, the Magic have looked good on the offensive end. And, they got a couple of wins here already in the bubble, taking care of the Brooklyn Nets and also winning in this game. So they're, gaining the confidence. But the biggest story coming out of this game is Jonathan Isaac. Coming down ugly, non-contact injury. He buckled his knee. He had to get carried out on a wheelchair. And doctors report, according to Agent Wojnarowski, that he has a torn ACL, which is absolutely horrible for the guy. He absolutely worked his butt off just to get back into this bubble because he injured himself back in January. Comes to play in this bubble. He's not even playing a bunch of minutes, and he gets injured. And sadly, Magic going to be missing him. Probably going to be was a good player for them last year in the playoffs, and was probably going to do some work this year. But now tearing his ACL, it's going to be an even longer rehab, and just prayers up for the guy. We move on to the next game, and we have the Houston Rockets taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Houston Rockets pull out another win, 120-116. James Harden, 24 points, 6 steals, 7 assists. Russell Westbrook, 31, 6 and 8. And on the Bucks side of things, Giannis putting another MVP type performance, 36 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists. Milton and Brook Lopez also gave them 20 points apiece. What the Rockets have done in this bubble so far is absolutely crazy, because literally their strategy is, we're going to go toe-to-toe with you on the offensive end until the final 3 minutes, and we're going to freaking put on the clamps on any of your players. And that's what they did again this game. I mean, they were the Bucks were playing really well, and with the Rockets, I mean, I think they hit 20 plus threes, but they did over 60 attempts. So they're just gonna stay in the game just because they're able to hit those threes. But in the final 3 minutes, they were just able to lock up, and James Harden did a good job guarding Giannis. And what ultimately happened is that they were able to use the scoring prowess, which a lot of the Bucks players did not have an answer for. They didn't have anyone to really throw at Harden or Westbrook, and they were able to come up with a win. You can't let them hang around, and the Bucks let them do that throughout this game. And when it came to the very end, they were able to strike and they were able to get the win. Very entertaining game. I urge you to look at the highlights. I'm very concerned what Giannis' decision making at the end of the game, but hopefully we can get that worked out for the playoffs. We're going to go into the final game, and we're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Phoenix Suns, where the Phoenix Suns pull up the upset, defeating the Mavericks 117, 115. Luka basically almost had a 40-point triple-double. But on the Phoenix side of things, Ricky Rubio had a fantastic game, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Booker scored 30 points before he fouled out. And the biggest story of the game is that, the Mavericks just cannot defend. They just can't defend. And the thing about Dallas in this game in particular, Luka can't do everything. And he made that really questionable decision at the end of the game where he could have tied the game, but he instead tried to kick it out to KP for the win. Obviously you can bash him on that, which really, he was just trying to it was a good shot nonetheless, but he probably could have got the layup. But it's just, you can't have Luka do everything. Him and KP combined for 70 points, and the rest of the team is under 40. That just cannot happen with this team. And the Phoenix Suns have looked good. Ricky Rubio and this team really knows how to run an offense. Devin Booker's still that 30-point per game scorer that we all know and love. And they're just getting good contributions. Cam Johnson, 19 points and 12 rebounds. They're good, getting contributions all over the shop. Javon Carter playing good on the defensive end. Cameron Payne hitting some key buckets. They're able to stay in this game, and they were able to strike near the end. And the Mavericks, they've got to tighten up on the defensive end. Thank you guys for listening to this recap. I'm going to be posting a new podcast tomorrow. It's a holiday here in Canada, so I'm not going to be recording today. But I'm still able to do this recap. New episode tomorrow. Only 2 episodes this week, Tuesday and Friday. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.